Richard, congratulations on your appointment to the Bristol City Board. How does it feel?
Well, nervous really. Having been a fan for so long and having been around the game for so long and having supported this team for so long, it's exciting, but it's obviously nervous as well.
You've had a very successful career at the EFL and the Premier League. Why is now the right time to join the Bristol City Board?
Well, that's interesting. I think probably that's a question more for Steve Lansdowne than it is for me. But I've known Steve for such a long time and he's been such a great custodian of this club. And obviously, he and I have talked a lot in the past about the club. And I've been attending the board meetings for quite some time, for 2 or 3 years really, just helping where I can. And so with Gavin Marshall going off to his new job at the Welsh Rugby Union, Steve said, would I take that 3rd place on the board? And the time felt right.
And you mentioned there the time felt right. What do you hope to bring to the board alongside John and of course Tom?
Yeah, well, that's the whole point, isn't it? We've got Tom Rawcliffe as CEO, John Lansdowne obviously in as chairman. A board of 3 is a good number. It's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 7. It's a good number. So I'm just going to help them really. And what's their job? Their job is to make sure and help Gerhard Struber and whoever's manager at the time to support them to try and make sure the club progresses on the pitch, and that's the most important thing, and that's what I'll be trying to do.
And how much of a positive is it that you've been attending those board meetings, and of course you know the club so well?
I do know it well, but you never really know, and I'll be learning a lot and finding out a lot. You can't possibly come in and think you know how the club works and how the club runs, but I have a reputation, I think, for being a planner, for being somebody of detail. And I think if I can help Tom and John with their plan and their plan for this club, then that'll be my time well spent, I think.
Let's talk a little bit about your career. A huge part of the role you played at both the Premier League and the EFL was ensuring visibility of the leagues. Can you talk us through what that was like and how much it's changed since?
Well, I don't think it's changed a great deal. I got the job at the EFL back in 1997 where I put a presentation together for the interview. And in some ways, it's as valid today as it was then. We have a wonderful thing in England. We have this pyramid system and we have the Premier League at the top. And then the EFL, comes underneath with all that depth of club. And then go right on beyond that. There's 44,000 football teams in this country playing the same game. And therefore it's something to be really proud of, and everybody needs to do what they can to do the best for themselves and to promote themselves and to put your best foot forward. And so that's always been my mission. I don't believe much has changed in that time, where we're still the envy of the world. I think the Premier League clearly has globally captured the imagination, but that doesn't mean that. But when you look at the Championship, when you look at what we had, this is our highest attending season, I think, since the 1970s. It's the attendance is great, the noise is great. Championship football to me looks like Premier League football did, when I was going, in the early 2000s. You could easily think you were there when you watched this, and so it's just grown everywhere.
Can you tell us then about your history as a Bristol City supporter? Can you remember your first game?
I remember it vividly. I was here for John Attio's testimonial. My dad, who's passed away sadly, bought me. He disputes it. He thinks we went to a game in 1965 in our promotion season. He thinks he brought me to the Bristol Rovers derby when we won. I think we beat them and we got promoted that season. They didn't. But I still don't think I was at that game. There's no programme to say we were there, but I know I was at John Attio's testimonial in October 1966. So that was my first game. We lost to Leeds, Don Revie's Leeds at 4-2 at home. But of course that was my first, yeah. And I've been here ever since.
And you mentioned before that you've been to most of the games this season. How impressed have you been with the team and what Gerhard Struber's doing?
Well, I'll go back a little while longer. I mean, I thought Liam. I had my doubts about Liam when he started, season before last, and I thought, right now, this time of the year, October, I thought we were struggling. But in fairness, and I did ring him before when we got to the playoffs, I did ring him and we had that open conversation. I said, I have my doubts, but you've clearly, him and his coaching team, Chris Hogg and everybody, managed to get themselves, and we had a good season last season. We got to the playoffs. And Gerhard again has come in, and he's obviously, we've started pretty well, right? You can't, ultimately, you can talk about it all you like. It comes down to where you are in the league table and what the results look like. And therefore, quite rightly, there's a good feeling around the place because of, the way we look pretty organised. We look well organised. We look like we know what we're doing, and it looks like Gerhard has a plan, and Gerhard is getting the players to execute that plan. And touch wood, long may it continue.
And how much are you looking forward to working with him?
Well, yeah, I won't be really working with him, will I? It'll be Tom and John, really. But anything I can do to support him and help him, and any insights I can give, I'll be more than happy to do. But I wouldn't be so bold as to say I'll be working with him, because that's not my expertise is not what Gerhard does. What goes on behind that dressing room door is a specialist skill of its own. But you do need to instill confidence that there is support and backing, for the things that he needs to do, wants to do. And the modern game is a very analytical game. There's data, a lot of data. People talk about data, but what is it? Data is really just insights to help you make decisions, and we've got to help and support and make sure he's got everything he needs to make those decisions.
And just lastly, do you have a message for the supporters?
No message at all. But look, there is nobody wants Premier League football here at Ashton Gate more than me. Maybe Steve Lansdowne does, maybe everybody else that sits next to me does, but there's nobody, and there's certainly probably my kids. I mean, honestly, I've cursed my children with fandom for Bristol City. They all come, and there's nobody wants it more than me and my family, and therefore the message is, but as I've said in my, in my more formal statements, just because you've got a great stadium, just because you've got a great training ground, just because you've got a great fan base, doesn't mean you automatically therefore get promoted. There's a lot of other things need to be done to get that. So the message is, I'm going to try and help, and I'll be judged on that.